Greetings, fellow thinkers and drinkers, and once again, Motörhead fans. We continue our journey through their recorded works, and we are, sadly, nearing the end. This time we had a 3-year gap between the records, from 2010's The World Is Yours, pause for thought there, until we got Aftershock, which was released in October of 2013. Although it was scheduled for release earlier in the year. Delay probably down to some health issues that Lemmy was having. He had been starting to have them over the last few years. But we will touch on this, sadly, a little later. In terms of background, not too much to say. No changes. Same band, same producer, same label, etc., etc. Prior to this album's release, it was rumored that they would be releasing an album of covers. This is an idea which Lemmy did not dismiss out of hand. But fortunately, they didn't, and they stuck to recording original material. So what exactly did we get? Well, it opens with Heartbreaker, which is yet another great opener. Have they ever, well, maybe once or twice, but 9 times out of 10, you're sure the opening song on a Motörhead album is going to set the scene. No exception here. This rattles along really nicely, strong verses, strong chorus, memorable, energized, enthused. It's Motörhead. They follow this up with Coup de Grace, which again has hints of the slight boogie influence, which infuse this, on the other hand, a fairly straightforward rocker. But it does have some nice musical phrasing in it, especially on the pre-chorus. Something they've been developing for quite a while now. But yeah, it gives some of their songs just a little bit more appeal in some ways, a little bit more, makes them at least a little bit more catchy, more memorable. Again, another really good example of this, and this is, again, more strong stuff. So far, so good. All right, Lost Woman Blues. It starts off as a traditional rock blues song, which anybody familiar with my other videos will know is not my favorite genre. Having said that, excuse me, well, that went down the wrong way. Having said that, this is well executed, despite having those blues rock tropes. Oh, I love my woman. And that gets repeated. The blues, somewhat overrated. However, this is a pretty good example of it. Really nice, very tasteful solo from Phil Campbell in the middle of this. The midsection, they up the pace, it re-rocks out a bit more, which takes us towards the end, and they go back to the slightly more relaxed structure that they had on the verses. But it's done well. The bluesy bits, the vocal bits, done well, but the midsection of it really elevates this, actually. And it's, for me, it takes what would have been a decent track into a very good track. We move on. End of Time. Okay, we're back to ass-kicking Motörhead. Fastest track, perhaps heaviest track so far. It's another really well-constructed effort. I mean, how do they keep doing this? They have got self-imposed limitations somehow on how they write and compose, but yet they can still churn these things out, and they can still make them good, they can still make them memorable, and they can still give them identity. I guess talent is what it is. Next track is Do You Believe? Yeah, it's more Motörhead rock and roll again. It's got one hell of a groove to it, I have to say. It's really good fun, actually. It's just one of those. Yeah. Be a good party track if, the rest of your guests had taste in music. Noticeable on here, Lemmy's bass line is really, really good. It's prominent and it's really good. I mean, he's always been a good player and not a typical bass player, but this one stands out. They follow it up with Death Machine, which is yet another rocker. It's got more good, well, subtle but good musical dynamics and phrasing to it, which is just as well. But I have to say on this one, the verses and the choruses are a bit on the ordinary side. For latter-day Motörhead, that is. It's not bad, but it's possibly the weakest effort thus far. We then progress, shall we say, to Dust and Glass. Now, this is as close to a ballad as you're going to get, especially at the beginning. But there's some really tasty playing and really, really good, effective lyrics from Lemmy. And his vocal really does it justice, I have to say. More on his vocals later. It's taken at a slower pace, but the midsection, again, rocks a bit more. But I have to say, for some reason, this just absolutely works. This is a really strong track. Easily my favorite thus far. I absolutely love it. Again, if I wasn't listening to the album again for the purpose of preparing for this review, it's one of those that when it's finished, you hit repeat. And you hit repeat again. It really is that good. A little bit of fun up next. Well, it's amused me. Going to Mexico even, yeah. All right, we've already had, back on 1916, we've had Going to Brazil. So Lemmy is surely but surely working his way northwards. And in truth, this is in similar vein to its southern neighbor. But despite that, even it's another really good song. Yes, it is similar to Going to Brazil, but as with Going to Brazil, it's a really strong, catchy, memorable effort. We're roughly at the halfway point of this album, and again, I have to say, it's turning out to be a real belter. They follow this up with Silence When You Speak to Me, which begins, it's more of the chugging, perhaps more metallic rocker, hard rock song. And Lemmy gives another really gruff vocal on this. Not quite Orgasmatron type menace and gruff, but yeah. I have to say that when I get to the chorus, the way he sings Silence, and then there's a pause before he gets to When You Speak to Me, but when he repeats Silence, and it does sound very, very familiar. And it dawned on me eventually. It's the familiarity comes from Broken, from Overnight Sensation. The way he sings Broken is very similar to the way he sings Silence on this. That said, this stands on its own and is yet another very, very commendable effort. Well, we move on to Crying Shame, which is extremely catchy. It's slightly boogie-ish. I have to say this, it does have obvious single potential. And despite perhaps those few disparaging observations, this is another real top effort. It might have that commercial edge to it, but my God, it's effective. It's another one. You could easily hit repeat after it. Oh, it's fun. We move on to Queen of the Damned, which is back to pushing a bit harder on the gas. And in truth, it's a standard Motörhead rocker, which means it's very good. But it's not the standout track on what is actually becoming a very rich and varied album. Not filler. There's just better stuff available. Knife. I really like this one as well. We're back to this has got has far more of the rock and roll influences than it does their rock metal influences, and it's another really memorable song. Personal favorite, maybe, yes, perhaps my favorite so far. Difficult, but and there is something completely infectious about this. Again, repeat button, perfectly understandable. Do not seek the assistance of a competent medical professional if you find yourself constantly hitting the repeat button. for the songs like this. Totally normal, totally understandable. When on to track 13, it's actually quite a long album. It's not in terms of time duration. But noticeably on this one, the songs are shorter and there's more of them. There's nothing, I don't think, over 4.5 minutes, and there's maybe only 2 of those. So, you're getting more material, if you like. Whether that was just how they were feeling, I don't know. But the last few have had 10, 11 songs, maybe. Here you get 13. Excellent value for money in today's modern world. Okay, keep your powder dry. It's another great groove and yet another earworm. And it's almost impossible not to like this. Again, they keep doing it. They find within the confines of what it is to be Motörhead, they keep pulling these things out the hat. It really is incredible. The album finishes with Paralyzed. We won't discuss the spelling. Which is a nice Motörhead thrasher to end the album. And it does that well, does that successfully, as Motörhead thrashers tend to do. It's a really good, solid effort, but they've done this sort of thing better before. It's not the strongest thing on offer, and when it comes to these, these really balls to the wall songs, they've done better before. Not bad. Ends the album perfectly well. So that was that. Well, as one would expect by now, this is another excellent production. Great sounding album. But again, by this juncture, do we expect anything less? I think not. Again, the press was generally very positive, but the usual caveats did always apply. In terms of sales, in the US it got to 22, in the UK to 11, step up from the last one, I think, and in Germany it got to number 5. Went gold, which meant, at least back in 2013, 100,000 sales. I don't know if that still holds true. But well done. And well done to the Germans for their impeccable taste. But no, I mean, basically it is another real top effort. It really is. Of one's being absolutely fair and objective, there are signs of strain, wear and tear on Lemmy's vocals. When he sang, what was it called? I've forgotten the name of the song. What was it? Dust and Glass. Sorry, I'm losing my mind. He had a really effective vocal on that, but it was a softer song. He wasn't have to belt it out. He could actually sing, and that's a really, really effective vocal performance on here. But on the others, the more traditional material, he's not exactly pushing air, but you can hear there's a strain on his voice. But hell, what can you expect? Nobody stays the same. This album's a bit more laid back, which is maybe why it garnered the reputation of being their blues album, which isn't true. I mean, there's a couple of bluesier efforts on it, no doubt. But it's still essentially and quintessentially Motörhead. It's just, as I've said before, they never recorded the same album. Not consecutively, at least. They always tried something a little different. A different mood, or more intense, less intense, more fun, more rock and roll, more metal. And this is just a continuation, I think, of that process. This one just happens to be slightly more laid back. This is all in relative terms, obviously. No. It is, as I said, a couple of slower tracks, no doubt. It's not their most high-octane, most ferocious album, but all in all, it's a damn fine one. And they've been on a roll since Inferno. at the least since Inferno, and have not put a foot wrong. Ever since they released, and including Inferno, for me they're 10 out of 10 releases. This does not break that run. Now, on a slightly more morbid and perhaps depressing note, on the 16th of November that year, no, it wasn't that year, it was the next year, it was 2014, they played the Maçhonquèrre here in Berlin, and they only had 2 more dates of the tour to go. The tour had already been postponed. I think we had tickets for earlier in the year. And I think they had to postpone dates. Well, no, it was released late in the year, wasn't it, in 2013. They had postponed dates in the summer of 14. And we had tickets to see them. But the tickets were then subsequently valid for the rescheduled show. So again, so on the 16th of November. And I, at least, saw them live for the very last time. The postponements had obviously been down to Lemmy's ongoing health issues. And it was noticeable when they hit the stage. They were playing much shorter sets now. 75 minutes, I think. As opposed to the hour 40 minutes that they had been playing in the past. Okay. It happens. But despite that, look, it's Motörhead, isn't it? They never disappoint. They gave it everything they had. They really did. And it was in no way can you say this was a disappointing show. Not at all. But one has to say, if one is being honest, that Lemmy was looking and sounding very frail. At some point during the course of the evening, I caught the eye of my significant other, and she didn't have to say anything. When we discussed it on the way out, and we were both we both shared the same feeling. It was a mixture of admiration for the show must go on attitude, with I think it's genuine distress, I would have to say, at seeing Lemmy so incapacitated. But he wouldn't disappoint the audience. And again, afterwards, over the obligatory beer at 10, I think we both said, well, doesn't look like he has too long to go. And it was a sad end to the evening. Yet, 13 months later, December the 11th, 2015, they played their last ever show together on that very same stage. And 3 weeks after that, he was gone. Sadly, we were not there. I can't remember if that was a deliberate choice. I can't imagine we'd been so moved. It's not like watching a parent deteriorate, is it? But I can't remember why we didn't go. It may have played a role. I don't know. I suspect the reasons were logistical. But we were not there, unfortunately. Did not have the honor of being there at Motörhead's last ever show, which is sad in a way. Yeah. Well, there you have it. This particular story is drawing to a close. But we're not quite finished yet, are we? There is still one new album to go. And, as I mentioned last time, since they've recently released the Maçhonquèrre tapes, I'll probably give that a review as well, once I've had sufficient time to digest it. So, there you go. Was anybody else there? Did anybody else see them on this tour? Please let me know. What do you think of the album? Yes, it is a little different, isn't it? I've told you what I think. Again, please feel free to comment, and to share, and to like, and obviously to subscribe. And once again, I thank you for your indulgence. I wish you well, and until next time, Maçhonquèrre.